What up, Bulls Nation? Peck here. We've got a live CHGO Bulls podcast coming up for y'all right around the corner. Today, some key matchups in the first round of the March Madness tourney involving some draft prospects the Bulls could be looking at in that 10 to 15 range. Also going to be talking about a hypothetical playoff rotation. That's right, I said playoff rotation Billy Donovan might use if the Bulls win their way out of the play-in tournament. All that and more coming up next. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in to CHGO Bulls Podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls _ Peck. That's Will, the GO Gottlieb, perfectly coiffed, Will _ Gottlieb. Our guy, Big Dave, fighting some horrendous Chicago traffic, should be here momentarily. Queen of the controls, the one and only, Katie Duffy. What up, Katie?
Hi, I already messed up the control.
Woo! Killing it today.
I almost said bow anyway.
Bow.
He's not here.
Yeah.
Bow.
Well, we'll save it for when Dave walks
It's like
in.
a nervous tick now.
CHGO Bulls Podcast is presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use promo code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365. All right, y'all. Bulls off today in their road trip. 2 down, 4 to go. They've got the Phoenix Suns coming up next. Figured we would take today's show's an opportunity to cover a few different bases, including not the NBA, but college hoops. We got the first 4 games tonight and tomorrow, GOAT. And then the tourney starts in earnest on Thursday and Friday. Maybe 2 of the best days of the year. 16 college basketball games, followed by 16 more college basketball games.
They call it madness for a reason.
It's incredible. So we thought we could kind of highlight, for some of you who don't watch a lot of college hoops and are primarily Bulls fans and NBA fans, some of these names we've started to talk about in the 2025 NBA draft class who will be in action in at least the first round should their teams not advance, and when and where you can find those games. Let's start with the obvious one, GOAT. Duke is a 1 seed in that East section of the bracket. They will play the winner of the first 4 matchup between American and Mount St. Mary's, who are vying for that 16 seed. So that game, when Duke plays the winner of that first 4 game, will be this Friday, 1:50 Central Time is the tip-off on CBS. Obviously, Cooper Flagg went down with that, rolled ankle about a week or so ago. There's also Kaman Malawach, who we've talked about on this program, gotten some of our draft crew's analysis on him, and then Con Knippel as well. Have they shut Flagg down, or is he going to play in the tourney? Does anybody know?
I haven't seen anything about it yet. I mean, it didn't look good. It didn't look like something that was going to be like a miss 1 game and back. But also, I mean, Cooper has been just such a dedicated, just needs to be out there trying to compete. And he's even talked about, or at least there's been some discussion about him potentially even coming back to Duke next year to try to get it done and win a national championship. So I hope he's back. He's a lot of fun to watch, and he's an incredible player. Duke's #1 seed. I think they're the best team in college basketball by far. They've got some incredible talent, at least 3 lottery picks. So it'll be great to watch them compete at the highest level. They should be okay in the first round without him, so maybe he takes that one off. But I mean, as we said, March Madness, the variance is going to variance.
Right.
Here,
you never know.
Anything is possible.
We have seen 16s take down 1s many a times over the years. So, obviously Cooper Flagg projected consensus tier of his own #1 pick in the upcoming draft. But his teammates, it's interesting. We've talked about Malawach, their big man, 7'2", incredible standing reach, maybe a little bit raw as far as some of the prospects in this class are concerned. But he's climbing people's draft boards. So we started talking about lottery players thinking, hey, the Bulls might get lucky and jump into the top 4 from, say, 7, 8, wherever they might be. Now it's looking more and more likely that the Bulls could be, ended up picking somewhere in the early teens or in that 10 to 12 range.
Yeah, I was looking at the rundown that you made, and I'm like, man, all these players are going to be gone by the time the Bulls are drafting because they're playing their way out of the lottery here. But there are still some names. I think Knippel's a guy who could be in the 7 to 12 range.
Right.
He's a really interesting role player. Can do a little bit more with the ball in his hands than maybe I originally thought. And again, have not really gotten deep into any of these guys quite yet. But 6'7" wing, he can shoot it. He can score. He can facilitate a little bit. Just the kind of guy that you would want to build your team with. He's probably not a build around kind of player, but just the perfect complement. And I think he can do a little bit more in terms of scoring. So we'll see what he's able to do without Cooper in the lineup. Maybe this is an opportunity for him to really step up and do more of that creation.
Build with, not build around. Sounds like AK's kind of guy. One of those 9 to 10 that we're looking for here. All right, another matchup, and the more and more I watch this guy, the more and more I'm falling in love with him.
I want to talk one more thing about Malawach.
About Duke? Yeah, go for it.
I mean, Malawach is super interesting. I think he's the kind of player that, like, in theory, fits well with a Josh Giddey type point guard in terms of like being a rim roller, being somebody that can clean up some of the mess defensively. To me, though, like, I think I mentioned this last night, he just doesn't really seem like the kind of guy that the Bulls are really content to build around.
Yeah.
Like, they don't really play Jalen Smith all that much anymore now that Zach Collins is there. They went out and traded for Vooch. They didn't want Daniel Gafford, right? They want these playmaking bigs who can do a little bit of everything, play at the block, facilitate a little bit, keep the ball moving side to side, are more offensive hubs than offensive play finishers. And so I wonder if Malawach, I think he'd be a really good fit, and I think they could make it work, but they have a guy like that who is, a theoretical floor spacer and rim roller, and he's been out of the rotation. So I think Malawach will be a good player. I think the intrigue about him is more like he's playing within the box that they're putting him in at Duke, but like, is there more that is kind of untapped potential there? And I think it's a possibility that he really turns into an exciting player that has more of that like unicorn floor spacing element that every team is after. But I just wonder, in terms of Arturas and the way that he's been building teams, Derek Queen feels more like the kind of player that I think they would go for as opposed to a Malawach.
And speaking of Queen, Katie put up a poll in the chat. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us on YouTube. Hit that like button and cast your vote. Who are you most excited to watch in the upcoming March Madness tourney? Derek Queen, one of the options there, along with Flag, Edgecombe, and Yakachonis of the Illini. Speaking of Edgecombe, there's that Baylor-Mississippi State matchup Friday, and it's one of the earlies, 11:15 a.m. Central Time tip-off on CBS. 9 Baylor taking on 8 Mississippi State. Edgecombe leading the way for the Baylor Bears. The more and more I watch Edgecombe go, the more and more I'm thinking that's probably the guy that will fall out, will fall off the board before the Bulls if they're not a team that gets really, really lucky at this point, jumping into the top 4.
Yeah, he's going to be a top 5 pick. He's an incredible athlete. I think he's listed at 6'5", probably a little bit smaller than that, and started a bit slow in terms of shooting the ball, but incredibly explosive athlete. I mean, he'll be like one of the 10 best athletes in the league when he gets into it on day one. But he's more of kind of like that 3-and-D athlete type, not as much shot creation. And although he started slow, he's really picked it up of late. Over the last 20 games of the season, so basically January 1st on, 44% from the field, 36.5% from 3. He's been getting to the free throw line a ton. 96 attempts in those 20 games is pretty incredible. And 329 points over that time as well. So he's been really explosive. He's an elite defensive player. He's still kind of a project in the sense that like he's raw and he's got tools, but I think he's going to be an incredible NBA player.
Very much so. Then we have actually in one of the first 4 matchups, another projected lottery pick, and that's Tre Johnson of Texas. We've talked about Johnson already in one of our little draft shows over the last few weeks. Texas and Xavier duking it out for the rights to one of those 11 seeds. Their first 4 matchup is tomorrow at 8:10 Central Time tip-off on good old True TV, the 1 month a year where everybody has to remember what channel True TV is. And then so if Texas is able to win that game against Xavier and win themselves that 11 seed, they would face, shout out to all you Illini fans out there in Bulls Nation, Illinois in the 11-6 matchup. Illinois got a 6 seed. That game, is Friday, 8:45, when Illinois plays the winner of Texas and Xavier. So then you could be getting a second look at Tre Johnson in that game, plus, of course, Kasparas Yakuchonis and Will Riley. We talked a little bit about Riley. He's more of a projected late first-round pick right now. And obviously, Yakuchonis, a lot of people thinking is going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah, he's been sliding a little bit. I think the turnovers are a bit of an issue for him, and just the rim pressure. He's got a really nice step back. Jay and Ricky were talking a lot about him on Cash Considerations as we welcome George David. Bow!
BWL Sports.
But yeah, Ricky and Jay were talking about Yakuchonis and some of the drawbacks in his game, and I think he actually could be a guy that slides probably not to 15, but maybe into the 9, 10, 11 range. So if the Bulls are ending up drafting there, that could be good for him.
Could be good for him. I'm hoping we get that Texas and Illini matchup. Welcome. We found a Big Dave. What's up, buddy?
Traffic's crazy. 89 minutes slow down on I-90.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, I saw some awful traffic of people heading north on the Kennedy, but going down was fine.
They're doing stuff for O'Hare, so they shut down 3 lanes, and it's
going north.
Hopefully you don't have to deal, but you'll see it. It's insane.
They're doing work late at night on the Kennedy. I noticed recently.
Last night driving home
from the studio, some nights after post games.
Okay,
and they're closing off 2 or 3 lanes at a time.
It's bad. It's not fun
in the middle of rush hour. I can't imagine. That's great.
Yeah, not fun, Jerry. But I'm here. Continue on.
We're just kind of talking about some of these tourney first round matchups featuring some of these projected first round and even lottery picks. Dave, we've covered Duke's first matchup so far. Getting a look at Edgecombe in the Baylor-Mississippi State game. And currently we're talking about Texas and Tre Johnson. And if they win their first 4 matchup, which is tomorrow, they would then face Yakuchonis and the Illini in the actual first round.
Oh, my goodness. Illinois is going to get destroyed.
Really? You're calling it now? Cody, close your ears.
They're
Kendall, he still loves you.
Oh, with all my heart. But they're not ready for any of this. They're not prepared for any of this. Will Riley obviously is going to be a guy I'm looking at.
Right.
Yakuchonis, of course. But their team, I don't think they're coached, but they're not tournament-ready coached kind of squad. They might get a first-round victory maybe. But after that, those teams are just way too good, I think, for them to compete with. And I think – honestly, they're going to get smashed, bro. I really do.
So you're calling them an upset candidate in their 6 versus 11 matchup, regardless of if it's Texas or Xavier who wins?
Texas can beat them. Without a doubt in my mind, Texas can beat the Illinois. But I'm rooting for Illinois, of course. I want them to win. But I've watched a bunch of them this season, and nothing inspired faith to say, hey, this team is good enough to at least be a Sweet 16 squad. I don't see that looking at Illinois. I just don't.
So, okay. If you had to pick one who gets upset, Illini or Purdue? Because Purdue's always been known as the Big Ten team who just absolutely shits the bed in the tourney. Credit to Zach Edey and his crew. They didn't choke and made a deep run.
They made a very deep run.
But that, to me, it feels like they're due to go back to who they are as Boilermakers.
Is it that they're due, or you just want it to be so?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it kind of makes me laugh. My dad is a Purdue grad. I have a soft spot in my heart for the Boilermakers, but that's just who they are as a tourney team. They're playing some team named High Point as the 13th seed. Okay, who the hell is that? I don't know, but I might pick them to beat Purdue.
I wouldn't pick them to beat Purdue. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't pick them to beat Purdue. I think Purdue will win.
Dave. It says it right there in the name of the school. They will have the high points total over Purdue.
You don't even believe it when you say it.
I have the high ground.
They're not beating Purdue. They're not beating Purdue. No. Purdue, will they make it to the Elite Eight? That I don't know. I haven't watched a ton of them to know that. I do know they have a history of choking, but like you said, they went all the way when everybody thought they were going to choke last year, and they did not. But they went all the way. So, yeah, I think they're good enough to get to a Sweet 16, but I just don't feel Illinois is good enough to do that.
Fair enough. How are we doing? Do we need an ad break here? Yep. Okay. Let's knock out our first ad break right there, and then we'll come back. I want to touch on a few other first-round matchups, including some of these 25 draft class prospects. While we are doing that, you're here. Might as well hit the like button. Don't make Katie buggy about it for the next 45 minutes. Just do it now and listen to some ads. Today's show brought to you by Sunnyside. What is Sunnyside? Well, Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. You might not know it yet. A place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your spring and summer. Chicago. What are some of the amazing features that make their brand and products awesome? It's a one-stop shop for all of your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 different strains to choose from. That's triple digits, y'all. Easy online ordering and in-store pickup. A great system. I use it frequently. You're in, you're out, you're on with your day. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in the city, including Wrigleyville and River North locations, to the suburbs, and even more far-reaching than that, down in Champaign, up there in South Beloit, and more. If you're starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands that they know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. Or if you're a pro, they've got you covered still with, again, over 100 strains to choose from on the menu, new ones added daily, expertly curated Wellness Advisors staff pick collection. Check them out. They won't steer you wrong. Visit Sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off. That's 50% off your first, not one, not two, but three online purchases. All you got to do is use that promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 and older and Illinois Med card holders.
I'm on the low mic right now because this is the Gottlieb mic. So I got to get it up there for you. Am I right, Katie?
The mic turns me down.
See,
That's
the
what
mic
it is.
turns the mic.
No.
Typically, I'm much louder, but that mic makes me sound much
You're
softer.
a literal church mouse.
God damn. All right. Well, hopefully this will help the levels on the mic. Shout out to my man Ray Chevy, ladies and gentlemen. The March Radness sales event is going on right now at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake. That means the latest vehicles you've been wanting are now priced at game-winning savings. Yes, and the foul. Like 0% financing for 60 months, $0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, plus 0 hidden fees on new Chevy models. Or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know that you're going to get a great deal. Plus, that raised price promise, y'all, lets you shop confidently because a guarantee of no add-ons, no hidden fees, and no gimmicks ever means the price that you see is the price you're going to pay. You don't have to worry about price changing, stressful negotiations, any tricks, no woozies, and especially no wazzies.
Wazzies, get them out of here.
The people at Ray Chevrolet just want you to get the right price for the right vehicle that you need. So go see it for yourself. Visit our partners in March at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake. And don't miss out on their March Radness sales events going on all month long for 0% financing on select Chevy models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com because they've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. And not to that traffic that I just had to sit in, please.
Yeah. Well, that's actually not driving. That's just sitting in a car on a highway.
But you'll look very cool and you'll save money by getting that vehicle that you'll be sitting in at Ray Chevrolet.
There you go. All right, guys, a few more interesting first-round matchups to highlight. If you're looking at the tourney not as who's going to win college basketball, but which players do I want as a Bulls fan for the team to draft? Michigan State is a 2 seed this year. Their first-round matchup is against Bryant. That tip-off is Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Time on TBS. A good chance to look at Jace Richardson, a guy who our pal Ricky O'Donnell, who does great draft coverage for SB Nation, was on this very program singing his praises the other day. And he is another guy who has been, I think, climbing some people's draft boards.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten too much into him, but just sounds like a very explosive scorer. A little bit smaller for an off guard and not quite the point guardsmanship skills that you'd want in that, size of a player. But you can't knock the production, and he's been killing it.
Then we've got UConn, Oklahoma, an 8-9 matchup. Also Friday evening, 8:25 Central Time tip-off on TNT Dynamite. That one, you'll get a look at two projected lottery picks. Liam McNeely repping UConn and Jeremiah Fears of Oklahoma. Two solid talents squaring off. I like that a lot of these first-round matchups are going to have lottery and certainly first round draft talent playing against each other head to head.
Yeah, I think both of those guys will probably make it into the lottery.
Yeah.
Fears has been interesting. He started really hot, was like catching a lot of attention for his explosive scoring. And then he kind of got a little bit quiet down a little bit,
Yep.
Was struggling a little bit. And, people were talking about, well, is he going to go back to school? What is he going to is he going to fall out of the first round? And then he just kind of came back and started doing his thing again. So he's been really great. And I think he's kind of solidified himself as a first rounder. I think he'll probably be in the, 10 to 15 range. And then McNeely too. Another guy I would say in the mold of Knipple, who we talked about with Duke, of 3-and-D guy who can actually do a little bit more with the ball in his hands. Very smart player, smart defender, and kind of knows where to be. So less of a where Fears is kind of an upside swing of if we put the ball in this guy's hands, maybe he can go out and score 25 a night for us if everything breaks right. Whereas McNeely is more of you could slot him in and he can space the floor, but he can also attack the basket a little bit and defend. And do some of those more role player things.
He's more of that what you see is what you get kind of player. There's not going to be oh my God, he's going to get 50 in this game. No, what you see is what you're going to get. He's going to do it right. He's going to do it smart. He can be coached. Very good basketball IQ. Good 3-point shooter. He's not going to set the world on fire with what he does, but he's efficient. And when you can count on stuff like that, that'll get you into the lineup. That means he's willing to do anything to help the team win, including guarding whatever defender they put him on, get in there, mix it up, and hit a couple of wide open shots. So he is a guy that's destined to have a nice career in the NBA.
Then you got the matchup featuring Zaga and Georgia.
Zaga.
Thursday afternoon, 3:35 Central Time tip on TBS. Asa Newell of Georgia, a really solid prospect in that forward position. I think he's averaging 15 and 8 15 and 7 he's averaging on the season, plus a steal and a block per game. Hope that the Georgia Bulldogs make at least a little bit of a run, because I want to get more of a look at him, because I haven't watched a lot of him yet, but what I like so far, what I've seen so far I like. And he is, again, we're talking about a guy who could go top 10, who maybe could, depending on how other dominoes fall, find his way to still being on the board if the Bulls are drafting in that 10 to 15 range.
I mean, the main thing I like about him is he's left-handed. You guys know I love a left-hander, so
Love
he's
a
tall.
lefty.
I love a lefty, bro. He's tall. He's left-handed. 6'10", a legit 6'10". Like you said, man, I haven't seen a ton of him, so I'll listen to the GOAT and guys like Kyle tell me about him. And
Yeah,
make me better.
he's interesting. To me, I can't tell if he is Chris Bosh or Noah Clowney. I think he's
Wow.
kind of on that spectrum somewhere in terms of
Quite a
That's
range.
huge,
yeah. He's not a 5. He's got some ball skills at the 4, but very theoretical right now. I mean, he's shooting 29% on threes. He's a good athlete. He can finish around the rim. He can roll. He can maybe step out and shoot it on a pick and pop. But he's thin. He's not really going to be guarding 5s. I mean, you could maybe chew with him there, as Dave likes to say. But he's a very intriguing talent, and I think he's got some upside. It's just it's funny. I think a lot of times in the NBA, we talk a lot about the positionless nature of team building, right? And you can play 4 guards at once if you're the Bulls, because that's the style that they want to go to. And then when you go back to the draft and you're looking at guys and you say, well, he's kind of a tweener 4-5. I'm not sure if he fits into this category or that category. And that can be a knock, when for 99% of the year when we're talking about it, it's it's all positionless. So I wonder if I'm falling victim to some of that thinking with him. But I definitely think he's a skilled player. I just think he's quite raw right now and has a lot to figure out. But I mean, he'll be in that 8 to 15 range in the draft. And I think that could be somebody on the Bulls radar that fits well in the core that they're building, right? I mean, you've got a lot of good guards in there. Io, Kobe, Lonzo, Giddey. He's a guy that could fit next to Modest in the front court and maybe provide some versatility, rim protection, and maybe 3-point shooting if he can pull it together.
Who's more of a raw prospect for you, him or Will Riley?
Probably Newell. I would say Riley to me is he just kind of does what he does. I compared him to Keyshawn George. I think he's a wing who's very fluid and can score and shoot. I don't know how much else I've seen from him. And granted, I have not really, I keep saying this because it's true for all of these guys. I don't feel like I'm at I will know more about these guys later on in the process, but this is kind of superficial for all these guys. Sure. But yeah, to me, I feel they're both far away from being the player that they will ultimately become. But I think it's easier to see Riley turn into 6'7", 6'8" wing who can shoot and score versus there's like so many different possibilities of how Asa Newell could turn out.
So like a known but perhaps narrower skill set for Riley.
Yeah, exactly. Like he'll play more in a box of,
right.
of what a team needs.
How did I get in this box? All right, last one. Obviously, a lot of people, including y'all in the comments, have been talking about. We've talked about him multiple times already when we've done some of our draft episodes over the last few weeks. Derek Queen, playing for Maryland, repping Maryland, a 4th seed this year, taking on Grand Canyon, the 13 seed, in that first round matchup. That will be Friday afternoon. Bulls aren't playing Friday, so you can mark your calendars for that one. 3:35 tip Central Time on TBS. I feel like Maryland is a team that a lot of casual college hoops fans and diehard NBA fans will want to see make a run so that they can get as much of a look at Derek Queen as possible.
Sure, without a doubt. First of all, if Derek Queen, when he gets to the league, does not get a Dairy Queen sponsorship, as Will says, what are we doing?
Then his people, and Dairy Queen have all made a great mistake.
All of you have failed. A ghastly mistake. Derek Queen is definitely a guy I am on board with now. At first, I was kind of, I don't know, because from what I was seeing, I would just see a lot of his game be inside, getting rebounds, which was awesome, scoring with either hand, with the putbacks and things. But most of his stuff was really, truly interior. I didn't really see the wideness of his game that the GOAT was seeing. And then I saw him in the tournament just recently, and I was like, oh, he can do this. Okay, great. I'm in. The man was bringing the ball up the floor. The man was setting up the offense. He was finding guys, cutting, driving. He was passing people open. Do you know how good you have to be to do stuff like that? He was passing people open. That is excellent for a dang on center. Pulling up with a 3-point shot, just walking into one. He has, and I said this before about him, and I still feel the same. And I don't mean it as a diss. He has a clumsiness to his game, but it's like a controlled clumsiness, which reminds me of Joker, because Joker has that same kind of thing where it looks like he's about to fall over on his face, and then the next thing you know, it's a one-legged fadeaway 3-point shot in your eye. Like, it's that. Like, that's what I see when I'm looking at Derek Queen, man. Like, this dude can score 30. This dude can get 16 rebounds and get 8 assists. He's really good. Like, I was really, really very impressed the second time around when I got to really, truly sit and watch just how much of his game that he has, man. Like, I'm impressed.
I feel like I'm kind of going the other way on Queen, and I still really like him. I think he, like we talked about, is Maluach the kind of center that like the Bulls would really go for in terms of like player archetype. Queen, I think, does fit more of what the Bulls would want to build around, but I just have some questions about like his game. I think the shooting will come around. I'm not super worried about that. His shot's very like slow and mechanical, but he's a good free throw shooter. He takes a lot of free throws, and he's got great touch. I'm not too worried about the 3-point shooting. Defensively, I am a little concerned. I mean, the knock on Maluach from my perspective is like 6.6 block rate. That's like half of Mark Williams. When he was in college. That's like a third of Walker Kessler, who was the best of all time. But yeah, I mean, it's just, if he's not blocking shots at a really high rate, is he really that impactful? And I think part of it is he's deterring a lot of shots. He's not letting guys come down there in the first place. Correct. But that is a cause for concern for me. So Maluach is 6.6. Derek Queen's is like 2.7. So he's just not really a rim protector. I do think he can move his feet a little bit. I think he can, get his hands in passing lanes. I think he's a smart player and can play into a scheme.
Sure.
But I think that will be a hurdle for him to have to clear. And I think, like Ricky has been saying, and it's kind of convincing me, it's a similar thing with Giddey. It's like if you're not shooting off the ball and you're not defending and you don't have the ball in your hands, you're not good enough to warrant having high usage, then are you out here hurting the rest of your teammates because nobody's paying attention to you? I think he's a smart enough player, and I think he's talented enough to be able to continue to make plays. He's really good grab and go and like getting the ball up ahead. He is a really good passer. So there's, I think, a lot to be excited about. I'm just some questions are starting to bubble up for me, and that's why I'm excited to watch him in the tournament.
Exactly.
As they should bubble up. I mean, it's not like we're saying he was a top 4 guy, anything like that, or a defender. But I really do like his game offensively, man. And I think what he does on the rebounding side is the defense that he could probably provide for your team, because he's 6'9". It's not like he's going to be in that rim protector.
He produces. The numbers are insane.
So what do you do?
So there you go. There are some key matchups for you to watch in the first round of the March Madness tourney with some of those top half of the first round draft prospects to keep your eye on as Bulls fans. We'll take our second break right there. When we come back, we will dive into our beloved Bulls and talk playoff rotations.
Yay!
They might be going, y'all. Do you mock me, sir?
No, not at all. The joy that brought me.
Oh, I'm glad it brought you joy. You know what brings me joy, Dave?
Tell me more.
Winning money.
Yeah.
Making bets.
This is true.
Shout out to Circus Sportsbook. Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circus Sports Illinois. Circus Sports is sports betting the way it should be, and March Madness is here, y'all. The first four game is actually going on as we speak right now. Alabama State and St. Francis U.
Oh,
you could be making a bet on that right now. What are you doing? You slouch?
give me Alabama State.
Get some bets in. Circus Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Human beings featured in that customer service. Real human beings, guys. Seriously. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, even in-game betting. Circus Sports has it all. Fund and bet like a pro from anytime, anywhere in Illinois. Who do you like in the tourney? What bets are you going to be making? Who's your underdog that you're going to take all the way? Get those bets in.
High
at
point.
Circa. Download your new bookie today at circusports.com. Must be 21 and older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's right. High point going the distance.
I got an email from Baby Joy. It didn't say anything. It was just a picture, and it was a picture of the Joker with a Bulls hat on. And he said, "This is Matt." I was like, "Dang, might be right." I didn't see no words.
Was there a subject line or just like no subjects,
No subject
no
line.
text body,
Nope.
just the photo?
That's it. Just the photo and the hat, man. So at first, Matt, I didn't understand.
You didn't understand?
I never understood, Matt. I didn't get it.
Didn't understand.
Oh, why? Why? Why do these guys cost so much money? We don't get it. We don't understand it. And we don't like it. You know who else don't like it? Shady Rays. So they did something about it. Our friends at Shady Rays are helping you get in the right frame of mind with, frame of mind. Got that frame? Get it? Huh?
Hey.
With their premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays, that independent sunglasses company that's offering that world-class product that is rated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. Over 300,000 people. Their sunglasses have got those durable frames. Their sunglasses got those crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for your outdoor. And as that mustache handsome gentleman is about to prove to you, your indoor advenciones. Also got the perfect color and style. Team specific. Hello. Could be just for you. But let's say you break and you snap and you toss your hat just like that.
Oh, home run.
Amazing throw. And guess what? Snap, crackle, and pop.
Oh,
Those glasses are broken.
Bang.
They're gone. They're down. Oh, no. But then Mustache Man remembers 30-day return-free, worry-free. Guess what? Threw pair back on your face. Explosions. Blah, blah. Look at him. He's happy now. It won't last.
I'm not.
But those glasses will last, ladies and gentlemen, right across your face, and you can get that same kind of protection with our friends at Shady Rays. So, CHGO viewers and listeners, go to shadyrays.com and save 35% off those polarized sunglasses with that code CHGO. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars. So use that code CHGO. And guess what? Try it for yourself. Win today at shadyrays.com.
Boom.
Mm-mm.
Oh, baby Joey.
Before we move on,
Sending cynical emails. I love it.
That's what he do.
Taught him well.
That's how he roll.
Before we move on.
I just want to make a note of the fact that as we sit here today on March 18th,
March
the Bulls sitting in
I'm back day.
the 9th seed,
Yes, it is.
sitting in the 10th spot of the Tankathon order. And as I have been predicting, I think the Bulls will be drafting 15th this year. So I just wanted to make a point to say that every single one of the prospects that we just talked about will likely be off the board if the Bulls do that. So that's why it's important to have a good draft pick this year. That's all.
Thank you for coming to Goat's TED Talk.
Thank you for coming to my TED
Drive the
Talk.
knife
That's
in
all.
a little bit
Just
more.
just
Cooper,
Stab you.
Edgecombe, Tre Johnson, Yakachonis, Con Knipple, Asa Newell, Jeremiah Fears, Common Malawach, Derek Queen,
McNeely.
McNeely. Yeah, I mean, those guys will be gone.
just going to drink my water is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
It's impressive how you can say something
I hate
that
to tell
should
you.
drive you crazy. Should drive all Bulls fans crazy and just do it so calmly, so politely.
I hate to tell you.
That's how the real killers do, man.
Let's talk about the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's talk about the playoffs.
It's like
instead.
Dexter.
Yeah. Let's,
Anyway, a first round sweep.
Yeah, let's talk about the playoffs, Goat.
Goat is
Bulls
a
are
villain.
going.
Goat is a villain.
They're going.
The Bulls are going, y'all. Do you see these other teams in the play-in tournament bracket in the East right now? Trash. All of them trash. So we thought it would be fun to have that discussion of not just for their play-in tournament games, say the Bulls win their way from there, and say a couple people get healthy on the way. Where is Billy going with a rotation, a playoff rotation that could shrink not only down to 9, but maybe down to 8 in a playoff series? Because he's been just plugging holes recently with various guys being out with various injuries. Giddey's on the shelf, but we could see him back as early as tomorrow night. If not, then likely the second night of their back-to-back the following day. Lonzo in the wrist. There's still, according to Billy and Callie's latest reporting, no official talk of shutting him down for the year. Maybe he's back. But in the meantime, where is Billy going with the starting 5, and where is Billy going with his bench if this team goes and faces Cleveland or maybe even Boston in the first round?
I mean, Matt kind of put together an outline. Dave and I were talking about this last night, more of through the perspective of like if everybody's healthy, meaning Io included. Obviously, Io won't be back for this, but I don't know. Maybe, Katie, you want to just throw up the graphic and then we can discuss?
So this is what I was kind of thinking. Assuming Giddey is healthy and available, going 3 guards with Tre, Kobe, and Giddey, Modest, and of course the old wily and now cranky vet, Vooch. Katie put an asterisk next to Modest's name as well as Patrick Williams' name over on the right side for potential bench pieces in Billy Donovan's playoff rotation. Because I'm not sure. Like, do you think if the Bulls are playing in, like, honest to goodness NBA playoff games, that Billy's going to trust that rook to be in the starting lineup? Even though, what are the other options? Is the best alternative option Pat, who has told you time and again, I don't want to be a starter. No, thank you, please.
Yeah. At some point in time, Billy's going to have to listen and hear him. And I think he is. I think he hears him loud and clear. So I don't think P. will see that starting rotation. If he does, I honestly will be a little surprised, and he will get done up. I don't think he's going to kick it into a new gear in the play-in or anything like that. So I think he'll go with Modest. I think he'll let him get those lumps and find out, because what you can truly ask from him is to at least have a high motor and be out there with some effort and let them know you're there. You've heard many people say that before, like, let them know you're out there. Let them feel you when you're out there. Modest has a better chance of doing that than Patrick Williams does. So I think Billy will go with that. I'm not saying he's going to be dependent on him to say, hey, man, go out there and we're going to need, 20 points a night from you. It'd be nice. But I don't think Billy's going to set him up in that way. But I think he can trust his effort more than he can trust the effort of Patrick Williams. That's been proven already time and time again this season. It's why Patrick Williams is on the bench. So I don't think Billy will change that or go back from that. I think you'll continue to see Modest Buzelis in the starting lineup if they make the playoffs. Please, God, no.
I think that would make sense if Modest was starting. He has been starting. But I also wonder, to your point, if Billy would go with 4 guards and just really lean into what I think he would prefer, how he would prefer to play. So you've got Tre, you've got Kobe, you've got Giddey. Would you throw Huerter or Lonzo in there? And you play one of those guys at the 4 nominally, and maybe Giddey is really like the 4, but again, positionless, doesn't really matter that much. And I think where you struggle with that is you have less guard play off the bench, but you're just able to mix and match as needed. And I think that could be something that, look, I mean, if you're going up against Cleveland and you've got to deal with Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley, you could go at it one of 2 ways. You could say, we're going to try to match you, and we're going to try to get 4 and a 5 that are as good or better than Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, and you are going to fail in doing that.
Right.
So instead, why not lean into the things that you're good at and say, all right, Evan Mobley, you want to chase Kevin Huerter on the perimeter? Right. Or you want to, deal with Josh Giddey or something? Like, I think there's strength in the way that the Bulls want to play and imposing their will on how other teams have to defend them. And so I would not be surprised if, yes, Modest has gotten minutes and he should get some minutes in the playoffs. Maybe he starts and just doesn't play that much in the second half, or maybe he just is out of the rotation altogether because Billy really trusts the guy that he trusts.
Yeah.
And I think he would tend to lean more towards having multiple guards out there.
And let's not forget, Huerter has playoff experience. And Billy is a coach who
He's
wants
young,
to win.
But experienced.
Yes, young but experienced. AK's favorite. His favorite ice cream flavor, young and experienced. So,
Baskin Robbins.
That's why I could totally see him going with Huerter over Modest in the starting five. The other thing, and you brought up Lonzo, I think that's another fascinating variable because you're talking about winning matchups. Does Billy say, obviously Lonzo makes my team better, I'm going to play him as much as I can without, risking it too far. But like before Lonzo left, re-aggravating that wrist, we saw his minutes climbing and climbing and climbing because he's Lonzo and Billy trusts him and he makes his team better, obviously. But do you save Lonzo as a bench piece so you can still play as many minutes as Lonzo is healthy enough to play and have Lonzo out there to try to win the bench versus bench minutes against a very good opponent? Because Lonzo would absolutely help them to achieve that.
I think Lonzo's playing 36 minutes if they get to the playoffs.
I agree.
I think he'll play. And I actually would probably, now that I'm thinking about this, I would probably think he would start over Tre. And
start over
Lonzo, Kobe, Giddey, and either Huerter or Modest, and then Vooch.
Because then if with Lonzo, and we're talking, Cavs here, he is taking one of Mitchell or Garland, you would assume.
Yep.
And locking them down. And then also doing his help defense stuff. So that takes care of one of the dynamic duo of guards that the Cavs have that are a headache for any defense trying to slow him down. If Lonzo is healthy, if he goes to Billy and says, I can play, and I can play 36, I think you're right, Goat. He'd play 36.
And he's been in regular season games in overtime. He has extended the minutes beyond 30.
Yeah.
So I think playoffs, I think they've been very careful, and I think he's been good, and I think they would stretch that a little bit further if you're talking about the playoffs.
So then, hypothetically, Giddey is back from the ankle and available. Lonzo is playing and available, no minutes restriction. Then I think you're right. It's Kobe, Lonzo, Giddey are your three guards. Is it Huerter and Vooch? Is it Modest and Vooch? But either way, likely Tre Jones gets knocked out of the starting five. Because I think if Lonzo's not back and the Bulls go to the playoffs, even if Giddey comes back, Tre's going to be that fifth starter. Whether it's Modest or Pat or whoever, I think Tre Jones will be a starter in Billy's starting lineup of a playoff series if Lonzo is on the shelf. I think he's played that well and earned Billy's trust that way already. Would you agree or disagree?
I think there's a world where you do Tre, Kobe, Giddey, Lonzo, and Vooch.
Oh my God.
That's kind of where
let's do it. Let's get crazy.
I think they're going to just lean into the things that they want to do and feel like that can be their strength.
Wow. Wow.
Do you think I'm wrong?
Against Mobley and Allen, you're running those four guards out there?
I do think that.
Would you rather play your best players and allow you to play the brand of basketball that you want?
Yeah.
Or try to match up with a team that you aren't going to be as good at playing their game?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you with Huerter starting. I think he'll definitely get that if they have to go against Cleveland. And you're right, it's a better matchup for the Bulls in their mind offensively for everything you said. Him coming off those screens, having to chase Huerter around, do all that. What 7-footer big man wants to do stuff like that? I'm sure they will put him in there for those reasons. But then on the other side of the floor, he's going to get destroyed. And can Kevin Huerter hit 7 threes? I think it will come down to that. Will he be successful in doing that and make Cleveland change what they're trying to do because the Bulls are scoring? That will be something that will come to task. So, yeah, man, all of this is a possibility. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying you're a villain.
Huerter and Struce doing the Spider-Man meme at each other.
You got people in the comments saying, what's the point? And then other people in the comments saying, the Bulls got to beat the Cavs at some point, so get the data in the playoffs.
Oh, man.
Bless you, Bulls fans. We all think differently, and that's okay.
It
We
is.
got to take our last ad break. Then when we come back, we'll keep talking about playoff rotation, finish that up. And then we also did want to talk about Tre Jones and the Bulls books this summer. That's up next. Hit the like button. Today's show brought to you by Lucy. Are you looking to level up your nicotine routine? Then you should give the fine products at Lucy a try. They have nicotine pouches, nicotine gum, and something that they call Lucy Breakers, which are pouches with a little extra burst of hydration and flavor when you bite down into them. These are my apple ice flavored Lucy Breakers, my tried and true, my favorite flavor. I am a former smoker who now is loving these Lucy's. Started using them when they came on board as a sponsor, and I have not looked back. They are great. They come in a variety of flavors. Try them all. They also come in a variety of strengths as far as the nicotine in each piece of gum in each pouch. So wherever you are on your nicotine routine, they have the exact perfect amount for you. And here's the best part, y'all. Monthly subscription. Just sign up, and they get delivered straight to your door once a month. Whatever you want, products-wise, quantity-wise, monthly order, delivered to your door. No more annoying runs to the gas station or your local bodega all the time. Oh, I'm out of nicotine. Got to go make a run. Nope. Just sign up for Lucy, y'all. Gets delivered straight to your door. Just go to lucy.co/CHGO and use promo code CHGO2025 to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Again, that's lucy.co, promo code CHGO2025 to get 20% off. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
It's that time of year, y'all. The time of year. No, not March Madness. Tax season.
Ooh.
Oh, yuck.
And I'm the villain.
Yeah. Wow, wow. But here comes the hero. It's Monarch Money.
Hey-o.
Oh, because finances
played.
can be messy and confusing. But Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. Grow some money. It's more than your average budgeting app, ladies and gents. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. Don't just manage your money. Nope. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year. For all y'all out there watching and listening, 50% off your first year because they just like your face and your voice. Start managing your finances to build the life that you actually want. Monarch makes managing money very simple, even for busy lives. With all your accounts, credit cards, and investments in one place, you'll always know where your money stands without the hassle. You can track your spending, your savings, and investments, and you can do this effortlessly. So you can focus on what matters the most, making your biggest life goals a reality. Monarch Money is a finance tool people actually love. How do you mean, Dave? What do you mean they love them? Well, it was named Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025, y'all. The top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. I've done the numbers. That's a lot. Get control over your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code CHGO at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code CHGO. Get your life together with Monarch Money.
So before we move on to Tre Jones and the Bulls book stuff, just to kind of put a bow on the playoff rotation conversation, you know, as I was just listening to Dave and Monarch Money, I was thinking the names that weren't even mentioned in that first part of that conversation, Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips.
Yeah.
So I think even if Lonzo's back, Giddey's healthy, Tre Jones maybe is in a 4-guard starting lineup, or maybe he's coming off the bench. Either way, I think Jones is getting minutes in their playoff series if they have one. The wing and front court rotation is a lot murkier, I think.
Yeah.
We have seen already Zach Collins leapfrog Jalen Smith behind Vooch now that Vooch is back.
Mm-hmm.
You would anticipate the same to happen in a playoff series.
Sure.
So maybe Jalen Smith is an odd man out, but he won't be the only odd man out. I think Billy would shrink his rotation in a playoff series, as coaches usually do. Mm-hmm. So, you know, let's go to the playoffs because it'll be a good learning experience for the young guys. Sorry, young guys, you're not allowed to play.
And with that said,
that's the madness up here.
That can go even into Modest, because I promise you, the first mistake Modest makes, it's over. It's done deal. So I think Julian Phillips, though, and Will and I were talking about this yesterday. We think he is somebody that we could see getting spot minutes in the series, especially against a team like Cleveland, man, because of the effort that he puts in, but the defense that he can provide, that's Mr. 50-50 right there. So he's going to go in and fight and try to give you an advantage some kind of way, and also give your guys some rest and some time off for the monsters that they got to deal with down in the post, man. Because not only is Evan Mobley, like, it's Jared Allen too, who just absolutely destroys the Chicago Bulls whenever he plays them. So, yeah, Julian Phillips, I think, will get some kind of time. I don't think Dalen Terry will see the floor. I don't think Jalen Smith will get a chance to see the floor. But I do think Julian Phillips will get some kind of a look. And
that's why, like, when you're building a team and you want 9 to 10 good players, that's a good thing to have. But at the end of the day, if you're in the playoffs, the rotation shrinks. Yeah. A lot of times you're playing 6 or 7 guys. Yeah. And so what do you need? You need 6 or 7 guys that are really high up. Stars. And so
a couple of them called, what are they? Superstars?
Yeah. Stars are good to have in the playoffs.
Stars are good.
Stars are good. Fields are good.
And like, I think you can still like leverage the depth that you have to be successful. I think that's more easily done in the regular season. I think the Bulls could do it, but I also think, I mean, if you're talking about the depth of who's going to be playing in Julian Phillips or Dalen Terry, I just don't see a world where, I mean, maybe the Bulls are down 15 and they haven't been able to score, and you just want to like mix it up and get some energy out on the floor, and you throw in Julian Phillips. Yeah. That's what it's going to be. It's not going to be he's in the rotation for 12 minutes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. Katie, you had a thought?
Can I throw a hypothetical out at you here?
Throw.
If hypothetically Ayo Dosunmu is not human and heals himself and comes back, who falls out of the rotation?
You're saying if he comes back after shoulder surgery?
Look, that's why I said
like a week ago?
I said hypothetical, Matt.
Wolverine.
So who's playing now would fall out?
Yeah. Like, who would fall out of your playoff rotation if he came back for the playoffs?
Well, I mean, I think it would probably be Modest. I think they would go with more guards.
More guards.
Why, like
more guards.
More guards.
He would be starting. I think I would be out.
And there. I think it's less about like we got to have more guards out there. It's more about who are the guys that I trust. If I'm Billy Donovan, who are the guys that I trust to be able to go out and make plays with the ball in their hands? And those guys happen to be guards. I think the Bulls, if they had a bunch of big wings that could do that, they would prefer to do that. But those guys are really hard to find.
Yeah. See Ruby23 in the comments. You either need 3 superstars or 1 to 2 superstars and amazing role players around them in order to contend/win a championship. See Ruby23. I agree. Okay, here's what you do next. You write that on a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, find a stamp, put the stamp in the top right corner. Return address, I don't know, maybe keep your secrecy. You write Arturas Karnisovas and then Advocate Center underneath that. You probably know how to write addresses on pieces of envelope. People still send mail, right?
It's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, not as much as we used to.
Yeah.
And then just put that in your nearest, mail drop box, or if you send outgoing mail from wherever you live, wherever you work, just write that on a piece of paper and send it to the Advocate Center, please. Would you please? I would really appreciate that.
But listen, before you do that, hit the like button, because I'm getting very angry.
Do that
about
first.
The disparity between votes on the poll and likes on the stream. So
by all means, do that first.
Votes on the poll, likes on the stream.
And what we do next, as we're talking about the Bulls and the playoff rotation and Tre Jones totally being a part of it, we were talking about Tre Jones again last night's post game. The conversation continued. You wanted to continue it a bit more to talk about this possible scenario where, yes, the Bulls pay Josh Giddey a handsome fee this summer, but they also find a way to keep Tre Jones around.
Yeah, and I think the playoff conversation has a lot to do with that, right? You are finding minutes for Tre Jones. You're not like, he's not losing minutes to anyone. He is part of the rotation. He's been playing incredibly well. He's been incredibly valuable to what the Bulls are trying to do. And so is it possible to be able to retain him? And so I wanted to just kind of look at the updated cap sheet from after the trade and kind of see what that would look like. So Katie, if you can throw that up. The first one is basically just like what the cap sheet will look like after this year. you have the cap hold of Tre Jones in there. You have Josh Giddey's qualifying offer, and you have Javon Carter's player option that he will pick up. In this instance, the Bulls are over the cap but below the tax, so the self-imposed hard cap of the luxury tax is a ways away. And basically, like, this is what the situation will look like heading into the offseason. I also included the 10th pick cap hold. So where they are right now in the draft, that's about $5 million. So if they were to go into next season and they were to pay Josh Giddey $30 million, they could still afford to give Tre Jones like 12.5 or 13, basically mid-level exception money without going into the luxury tax. And Dave, we talked about it yesterday, like, you know, the value of retaining the asset to be able to make decisions later on down the line. Yeah. I think that would be useful, but basically, Katie, if you can throw up the other one, just to show that the Bulls have the ability right now to re-sign Giddey at $30 million, make their draft pick, and still keep Tre Jones on the roster without worrying about the luxury tax. So I would expect more moves to take place between this, and obviously you've got some big numbers here. The question to me is long term, how many years are these deals, and how much does that factor into your free agency plan for 2026? So those are the considerations. Like, if you give Tre Jones a 1-year deal for $12 million, he's off the books. You pay him, you get to keep him for next year, and then you can make decisions about free agency. But if you give him a 3-year deal, then that becomes a little bit more difficult, and especially if you're talking about, you know, $30 million a year for Giddey. Again, these are just projections, not saying this is what I would give them or what I expect them to get, but just in theory, if, you know, I think 30 is like the very most any of us could really realistically see Giddey getting. You can still afford to give Tre Jones a mid-level exception deal and keep him, and then maybe flip him down the line or flip Lonzo or whatever it may be.
Let me hold your feet to the fire here on this one. Do you think the Bulls should give Tre Jones a deal?
I do. I think they should. He's proven that he can be a plug-and-play starter. He's shown that he can be a piece of a rotation, and then he fits well next to the guys that you expect to be around, right? He plays well next to Kobe. He plays well next to Giddey. And that's because he's unselfish. He defends. He's a smart player. He makes quick decisions. All the things we talked about last night. I mean, he's shooting 56% as a Bull so far. He's like over his head a little bit. But I still think he's a really valuable piece. And then, again, I think you can leverage that into, look, the new CBA allows you to use the mid-level exception as a trade exception. That means that if the Bulls sign Tre Jones to the mid-level exception or lower, they can trade him into another team's mid-level exception as a trade exception. And so maybe you get a draft pick for that. Or maybe same with Lonzo. You can move him into somebody's trade exception. And he's on a much more team-friendly deal now where, you know, $10 million next year and $10 million the year after that with the team option. Like, that's something that a team should be willing to give up a first-round pick for. Even if you trade Lonzo for a draft pick, you've still got a ton of really good guard depth with Aya, with Giddey, with Kobe, and with Tre Jones. So you are in a position of strength if you keep him. And if you lose him for nothing, then you've just lost the asset for nothing. You can't do anything with it.
And it's like, you know, we actually did hear Arturus reference on Stacey's Give Me the Hot Sauce pod, whatever that was, a couple weeks ago, thinking a little further down the road in 26 free agent class. There's interesting names that have player options that they could very likely decline this season to become free agents, looking for paydays. Harden and Kyrie are among them. But, like, I think everybody around the league is kind of angling towards 2026.
Yep.
And there are very few teams with cap space projected this upcoming summer. So, like, paying Giddey and paying Tre Jones makes sense if, as Goat showed in those tables, if you pay them a combined $45 million in salary next season, you're still ducking the luxury tax line by what, $6 million and change? So then it becomes like, okay, well, what other pieces are you bringing in, if any? What pieces are you setting out in trades, and are you looking to make big swings in offseason trades as opposed to free agent signings? Because it's anybody's freaking guess what's going on in AK's head right now as far as improving this team this offseason. He's got a plan, guys. They laid the groundwork leading up to the trade deadline. They just made the one trade, but they laid some groundwork.
There's still that possibility of a 1-year deal for Josh Giddey as well in this, just in case they don't come to an agreement on a contract. So that's still a thing too.
I just felt a giant weight lifted off of where my heart used to be.
I'm here to help, man. I'm here to I'm not super villain.
I see that as such an unlikely
I know.
resolution.
I'm just telling you, it's a possibility. It's still a possibility.
Don't give me hope, Dave.
It's what it is. It's the truth.
Don't give me hope.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
I think the way he's playing right now, there's no way they don't lock him up long term.
He's not playing right now.
It may not be 5 years, but it may be 3 or 4. And I think he'll be, like Billy said this the other day, like he's not obviously involved in those conversations, but like you'd trade for a guy who's 22, you want him to be here. So I definitely think Giddey will be here. But the last piece with Tre Jones is the tradable salaries. So if the Bulls continue to accumulate these guys between $10 and $20 million, those are the salaries that you can stack together to send out for a star player. And we talked about the 9 to 10 good players. Somebody brought up in the comments, you can have 1 or 2 stars and depth, or 3 stars and veteran minimums up and down the roster. If you are trying to go the 9 to 10 good players route, that probably means you still need a star. Like if Arturas doesn't believe that, then you got bigger problems. But just assuming that he still thinks that they need a star and that star is not yet on the roster, you need contracts, especially if you're not valuing draft picks and you're not searching for that star at the top of the draft. You need tradable contracts, good value deals that you can combine together to go out and trade for another player. And even if you do, consolidate 2 or 3 for one to bring in one bigger contract, you still have that depth. So that's to me why Tre Jones is somebody they should keep around.
That's going to do it for those of you watching on our streaming services, Xfinity, Comcast, Roku, and Samsung TV Plus, among others. Thank you for tuning in. If you want the bonus coverage, just head on over to allchgo.com. So, guys, as we kind of think about this this hilarious potential road of the Bulls might go to the playoffs, and we're building a 9 to 10 really good player roster, and the Tre Jones might be a part of that. I'm not look, I've been impressed with what Tre Jones is doing, and if the Bulls' big offseason grandiose plans are signing Giddey on a multi-year deal that pays him somewhere near an average annual salary of $30 million, and you're paying Jones Tre Jones 15. Okay, but then what?
Well, here let me expound on the point I was making about the 1-year deal.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with the fact that Giddey will be here for multiple years. The reason I bring up the 1-year deal is just in case you're not able to come to an agreement money-wise this year, you can sign him to a 1-year deal, let him play that out for the whole season, and then you can give him a multi-year deal for what you truly think he's worth after that. I think it's a smart way to do it. I don't think the Bulls are going to do it, but I think it's a smart way to do it, taken as the guy has done this in the second half of the regular season. He's done it with his first time with everything kind of on him, and he's looked well doing it. I want to see him do it for a full year with teams planning for him, with teams strategizing for him, showing me that you could be that guy. Let's see if you can actually go after an all-star appearance or something like that. I want to see that for a whole year. Also, I want to protect myself because the Bulls have been devastated by injuries at that point guard position. And locking in Lonzo Ball is the first thing that comes to mind when I think about this. Giddey came in with an ankle injury, and I want to make sure that that's okay too. So I want to protect myself because I've already been through this twice. If I'm thinking Derrick Rose and I'm thinking Lonzo Ball, as far as devastating injuries that really hurt me going forward as I wanted to as a guy who's running the Chicago Bulls.
Devastating to my case.
Yes. So I just want to take it slower. I would think it would be smarter to sign him to that 1-year deal, let him play it out, and if everything is everything, then let's go ahead and talk about this multi-year deal, because I think they obviously still want him to be here for this multi-year deal. I don't think that's an argument, but I would like to see him get that 1-year and prove it a little bit more. That's it.
Say Ojanubi. I apologize if I butchered the pronunciation in the comments. Saying, but you also have to think about you also have to pay Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu. So you don't want to have to end up out of money because you still have to re-sign them too. And again, this is why some of us were saying, hey, if you're getting calls about Kobe and or Ayo before the trade deadline, AK, might want to listen.
Pick up the phone.
Might want to have a conversation there.
Chill out.
Because then you're talking about the Bulls being an over-the-cap, under-the-tax team that is overpaying players who are good but not great so that they can, what's that? What's that class? Oh, go to the play-in tournament for the rest of time with a team full of mid.
That's what the class
And some
is.
of y'all wonder why I've been kicking and screaming all goddamn season long. We're talking about the books now. This is the books part of that conversation. Overpaying guys who are mid to go be mid and lose to real teams. Fun thought exercise this is. Nope. You know what? No.
No.
Okay.
That's it. Don't do it, man.
It started to boil, but I took the lid off.
That's
I took
it.
the lid off. Turned it down a few notches.
I love I can see this stuff coming. I said,
You know what the beauty of it is? We're
What's
gonna be right back here tomorrow.
That's right. For a 9 p.m. tip-off, baby.
Boom.
The West Coast trip continues against the Phoenix Suns. We'll be here for 8:30 Central Time tip-off.
I mean, since you didn't do it, do you want to revisit yesterday?
Okay.
Why,
revisit yesterday.
why you have it queued up, Katie?
Yeah, I do.
All right, class.
Smack 'em.
Here's the video.
Slap.
The Bulls are now the 9th seed. After how many decades in the 10th seed this season? 2 decades? 3 decades? The Bulls spent 3 consecutive decades in that 10th seed. Lodged there very firmly and aggressively. Right where AK wants to be. But no, they are finally, tonight, after decades, it seems, no longer the 10th seed. They are the 9th. And you know what that means, sweet Jerry boy? A home playing tournament game. Yay! Yay! Who's ready for it? So happy. Let's all go. It'll be great. Bring the kids.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I promise I'm fine.
Cinema. You miss when he actually walks off the set, guys. Because he needed a breather on that one. That was, man. Oh, gets better with time. Just gets better with time.
I've watched that so many times.
Literally, it's like on a loop on my phone right now. It's crazy. I was driving home last night still laughing.
Yeah. And as I told Matt afterwards, man, I was like, dude, you're doing the Lord's work. A lot of people agree with you. And if you went to the comments, you will see, Matt, tons of people agree with you and your feelings.
And, you know, I have seen some reactions. We put the clip up on Twitter today as well. It's on Instagram. And, you know, between that and my friends who are CHGO, some of whom are Bulls fans, are like, between texts and some DMs, like, I've gotten a lot of encouragement from Bulls fans who are like, thank you.
Yes.
It looks like you're really going through it.
Yeah.
So are we.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there are a handful who are like, oh, you're just a hater. Okay, cool. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes. That's all you tell them.
Bulls fans always got to be there for one another.
Got to, man.
And, yeah, I went a little cray-cray last night.
Just a skosh.
It wasn't the first
You know
time.
what? We sit here
Won't
and
be
we
the
talk
last time.
about
Be the
this team
last.
every day for an hour.
Mhm.
We're all bound to go crazy at some point or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just waiting on goats. That's all we're waiting on. I've
I
had
mean,
mine.
according to
Sad his.
Agente Miguel Escarm, he's never seen me lose it like that before.
No, not on camera.
Speaking of which, I think he threw us a super chat towards the top. Okay, should we shout that out? In case you missed it, tune into last night's post game. Oh yeah, there you go. Well, we just played it for you.
Minutes 34.
I'm at peace because if I don't take out Jerry and AK, I know Peck the Joker will.
So
Yeah. I'm not making any threats on the internet. Of course not. Am I slowly turning into the Joker? Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm
We'll
trying
see.
to figure out which parts of that to turn into sound effects for our, sound panel here.
Definitely the
maniacal
laugh.
laughter.
So
Yeah, the laugh.
maybe the
Sure.
laugh. I think the sweet Jerry boy
Sure.
is like one of the best parts. So I'm taking suggestions. Throw it in the, the comments after the stream, or I don't know, DM it or whatever.
Send it in.
C
guys.
Ruby 23 says, "Sweet Jerry Boy's amazing." Also, Big Dave dying after Peck broke me heavy. See, okay, what I have now gone back and watched that a few times after last night, and what kills me is Dave and Goat's laughter, laughing at my foolishness. That's what gets me laughing.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Laughter is good medicine, y'all.
If you listen, you can hear my laughter in the beginning because I know what's about to happen. So I'm laughing like as soon as he starts because I'm like, in my head, I'm like, here it comes. Like it's on the way. It's on the way. I know how this story is. And boom, there it was. And it was glorious. Ladies and
It
gentlemen,
truly was
it
glorious.
was glorious. Good stuff. Do you feel a little bit better? Did you feel like you got something off of you, or did you feel worse?
You know what? Like, it's the boil has simmered, but it's gonna boil again.
Yeah, well, yes, this
Like,
we know.
Yeah,
It's never going away. We know that.
like, I just no. I said this a few weeks ago. I'm in a dark place right now as a Bulls fan because I think what they're doing right now is wrong and nonsensical and pointless and setting themselves up for more of that, more of the same. So, yeah, it's just I try not to think about it all the time.
Okay.
Like, if I were doing this 24/7, I would be in the loony bin already.
Yes.
We do it for an hour a day.
Yeah.
And I can handle that most of the time.
Sure.
Sometimes, as in last night's case, I can't handle even that before I go crazy and lose my mind.
This is true. This is true.
That's going to do it for today, so I don't go crazy. Tune in tomorrow. We've got a live pregame at 8:30 Central before that 9 p.m. tip-off.
Woo! Woo!
Fun stuff. Big Dave is at Bobby AWL Sports. Goats Will _ Gottlieb. Read his stuff, allchgo.com. Become a CHGO diehard to read all of it and the very best of it. I'm Bulls _ Peck. We're CHGO _ Bulls. Shout out to the one and only queen of the controls, KW. Also, shout out to our pal Kyle Williams.
Kyle Williams. The original Kyle Williams.
King Williams.
That's right. Shout out to the other Kyle Williams.
Hey, saw you in the comments too. He's both. Have a great night. We'll talk to you later tomorrow evening, Bulls Nation. See you. Be good.
Hug your families, y'all. Peace.
Don't go crazy.
We all silly like the mayor.